Hi, I'm Dr. Tracey Marks, a psychiatrist, and I make mental health education videos. In a previous video, I talked about the difference between stress and anxiety and how stress causes an increase in your cortisol level, which can worsen your anxiety and have other physical effects. Stress affects people in different ways. How it affects you depends on your emotional and frustration tolerance. Dr. Daniel Siegel, a psychiatrist, expanded on this concept with his construct of the window of tolerance. He described a window of tolerance as an ideal zone where, when you're faced with stressful situations, you're able to cope with them in a calm and engaged manner without feeling overwhelmed by them. You're able to process your emotions with a rational mind. And here are some signs that you are within your window of tolerance. You can maintain your personal boundaries and not feel exploited by your circumstances. Your reaction to the stressor is appropriate for the situation. You feel safe. You predominantly stay in the present moment to deal with the situation instead of ruminating about the past or worrying about the future. In other words, whatever the situation, you can face it, deal with it, and manage your emotions around it. For some situations, you can have a wide window where it takes a lot to break you, and sometimes you can have a narrow window where you can be easily pushed outside of the window. There are two sides that fall outside of the window. On one end is where you feel overwhelmed and enter into a hyperarousal state. Your nervous system puts you into a fight or flight mode. You can feel anxious, agitated, or stressed. Signs that you're in a hyperarousal state are feeling overwhelmed and unsafe. You may feel angry or agitated. You act on impulses or become defensive. You may have physical signs like heart racing or hands trembling. And you may be emotionally labile, like snapping at people or losing your cool. The other side of the window is the hypoarousal state. And in this state, your nervous system is still activated, but it puts you into a freeze state where you shut down or withdraw. Signs that you're here are you feel empty or numb. You don't feel like moving, like you're frozen. You feel disconnected either from your situation, other people, or yourself. You may feel like you can't think. You don't have much energy or motivation to do anything. We all have a window of tolerance, and how wide it is can vary depending on your circumstances. For example, things like being hungry or tired can narrow your window and make you feel more easily frustrated. Here are some experiences that can affect the width of your window. Negative childhood experiences. Your family of origin can affect the width of your window. For example, being raised by parents with narrow windows can teach you to have a narrow window. Any traumatic experience can affect your window. And other psychiatric disorders like borderline personality disorder or post-traumatic stress disorder. PTSD can make you more easily triggered to fall out of your window. Trauma experiences can make you more likely to default to the hypoarousal state of numbness and dissociation. A dissociative state is when you become disconnected from your environment or yourself, and it's usually a temporary state that you can go in and out of. You can learn more about dissociation in this video. So what makes the window of tolerance significant? Well, it's one way that you can increase your self-awareness so you can better manage your emotions. You can become familiar with what it's like to be in your window by thinking about times that you've managed your emotions well in the setting of a stressful situation. Then you can learn to recognize situations that trigger you and make it difficult to manage your emotions. If you recognize when you fall out of your window, you can do things to get back into your window. If you've moved into a hyperarousal state, here are some things that you can do to move back into your window. Mindfulness exercises, journaling affirmations, deep breathing exercises, and these are just to name a few things. If you've moved into a hypoarousal state, here are some things that you can do to move back to your window. Grounding exercises that stimulate your senses of sight, sound, touch, and taste. Engaging in physical activity like yoga or walking, or engaging in something creative. Creativity is mentally stimulating. If you're not naturally creative and have no idea what you would do, try coloring mandalas. Mandalas are complex symmetrical designs with radial lines and colorful shapes or patterns. Coloring mandalas has been a part of art therapy and spiritual practices for many years. The theory behind how coloring works to relieve stress is this: if you think of stress or anxiety as mental turmoil, the complex designs provide a structure that your mind can use to untangle itself. The coloring pulls you into a mindful state that's relaxing and calming. A 2012 study showed that freestyle coloring, where you color whatever you want, was not as effective at reducing anxiety as coloring mandalas. So there's something about the mandala pattern that's therapeutic. If you want to try this, I have some mandala patterns that you can download from my website to get you started. The link is in the description. Recognizing your window of tolerance and identifying things that kick you out of the window can help you intervene and do things that keep yourself in the window. The wider your window, the better you'll be able to manage your stress. Watch this video for more on how stress is different from anxiety, but yet can affect anxiety. Thanks for watching. See you next time.